Àbọ̀rú bọ́yè gbogbo àwò. Àbọ̀rú bọ́yè ẹ̀yin babaláwo. Èèyàn ìbọ̀rú bọ́yè.
Abora boy, this is Oluo Fakola Day. Good morning. Welcome to Idin Kaifa Temple. Thank you all for tuning in, tapping in with us. Thank you for joining us this morning. We're going to begin with prayer, and our topic today is practicing IFA on a cellular level. So let's get into it. Mojuba Olorum, Mojuba Leda, Mojuba Olorumari, Mojuba Bobo Rumale, Mojuba Bobo Male, Mojuba Boy Gun Tembele Soloroman, Mojuba, Shungwade, Mojuba Gore, Mojuba Programs, Mojuba Tom, Mojuba Flori, Mojuba Pla Coyente, Mojuba Philippe Zaloweto, Mojuba Kunjobi, Mojuba Mindi, Mojuba Samola, Mojuba Shalanko, Mojomi Tonande, Mojuba Shubi, Mojuba First, I won Baba Ati, Bada a joke bay. He hears people's pleas and accepts the pleas. He hears people's pleas and approves the pleas. He talks to people and ensures that the talk is completely absorbed. He hears people's pleas and accepts the pleas, names be fine. He hears people's pleas and approves the pleas is the name of Veshua Dara. He talks to people and ensures that the talk is completely absorbed is the name of Oishanla. Oishanla, you the person most of them. The person most of them cannot fail to impress one. The star frog's wisdom is rainfall. Bullfrog's wisdom is downpour. It is whatever the Akira Jupon. True tells earth, worth it accepts. Whatever the big rat tells earth, worth it accepts. All what I tell you, five, please accept them and approve them. O Toretti, to show gratitude upon gratitude is all our gratitude. To display benevolence upon benevolence is the alva benevolence. Whoever does not show gratitude for yesterday's benevolence, such a person will not receive today's gratuity. These are decorations to the 401 in Rumaland when going to marry Opwe, the daughter of Ishkuji. These are also the decoration of Ifa to Arumala when going to marry Opwe, the daughter of Ishkuji. I'm grateful I received my gratuity. I'm grateful for yesterday's favor. I received today's gratuity. O Tuarete, we are very grateful. Ashe. Awa dupe, awa bure, awa dupe, awa bure. Adúpẹ́ àná àóbore tó nébò Olódùmarè àwa dúpẹ́ àwa búre àwa dúpẹ́ àwa búre adúpẹ́ àná àóbore tó nébò orí àní àwa dúpẹ́ àwa búre. Àwa dúpẹ́ àwa búre àdúpẹ́ àná àwa búre tùnébò èrúmọlẹ̀ àwa dúpẹ́ àwa búre àwa dúpẹ́ àwa búre àdúpẹ́ àná àwa búre tùnébò lẹ́gùn lóríṣà Olódùmarè and the divinities. We thank you for life. We thank you for health. We thank you for strength, food, clothing, and shelter, and all the things that you provided for us. Ifa, we ask for your forgiveness. Forgive us for anything that we've done incorrectly or wrong. Forgive us for any times we might have indulged or broken our taboos. Any time that we might have done anything that was incorrect, doubting ourselves, doubting you. Ifa, forgive us. Eroso and tutu, pounded yam without soup can be very difficult to consume. These were the decorations of Ifa tutu, the child of Agbeneregun. He was full of bad character. He used bad attitude for prevented him from ancient Ifa's domain. Now we come to solicit on behalf of Itutu. We've come to beg on behalf of Itutu. How many children does Ifa have that he will cast one out? Those who beg on behalf of Itutu. Ifa, at this time, we ask that you will continue to ward off death. Ward off sickness, ward off cases, controversy, ward off fights. litigation, losses, and our advice ward off disease and danger from us. And in its place, bring to us long life. Give us good spouses, good children, peace of mind, joy, healing, victory, success. Give us all a way of life. We call on Oduifa Ogbela. Arumla said it is time to sleep. I echoed it's time to sleep. When the day dawned, I met Arumla in the 16th room, where he covered his head with a flowing gown full of lice. He was wearing a dress full of bloodstains. He was snoring heavily. They told him that a delegate from his attack arrived. Arumla inquired about what the delegate had brought. They told him they brought 2 rats swift and running, 2 fish graceful and swimming, 2 birds swift and flight, and 2 ghosts with big livers. Arumla said that's not enough to wake him up. I admit my ignorance. He's educated me. Motuna Karaba, I hide myself in your bosom and survive. Motuna Karaba, the dog hang masquerade beast Agwadron repeatedly. The dog hang masquerade beast Agwadron repeatedly to perform rituals because of children. You are the leaders, we are the followers. Leaders are the ones who show the followers wisdom. Arumla told them to get alligator pepper, to get cola nut, to get bitter cola, to get alcohol. The Akapo got the alligator pepper, he got the cola nut, got the bitter cola, and he got the alcohol. That is right. Now as he is fully awake. Oh, Rumela, when you are fully awake, please look at me with your eyes of compassion. It is with eyes of compassion that the heavenly stars usually look at the stars below. Oh, Rumela, when you are fully awake, please look at me with your eyes of help 1, 2. Secure great wealth. There's such good eyes that the heavenly stars usually look at the stars below. Oh, Rumela, when you are fully awake, please look at me with your eyes of help 1, 2. Secure a good spouse. There's such good eyes my spouse should use and look at me with. Arumala, when you're fully awake, please look at me with eyes of child 1, 2. Bear many children, and such good eyes a child should use and look at a well-decorated plate. Before long, not too far, join us in the midst of all Ire in life. If I hear all of these prayers, we ask that you would hear all of these prayers, these things that we've said. We call on Oshe Arula, Oshe Tra, to add Ashe to our prayers. Oshe Tra, tiny are the feet of Tubu. The stripe of a chameleon is not big enough to use its headgear. Had I been enough to use its headgear, I would have taken it home and adorned my head with it. These Ifa's decorations. These Ifa's decorations. To Orula, when going on a spiritual mission to Jebulan, we call on locals being selling pen money, call on the salt tiller and make her rich. We call on Oshe Aruela. Oshe Aruela is a grawo. Oshe Tra, I kick in baggy sa. The axe strike sharply against the tree. Cassie fought for Rumla when he used to receive Iba and Ashe from Olodumar. If an award tells you should be wealthy, you surely be wealthy. I kick any baggy sa in the mouth of an award is Adiba Ashe in the mouth of an award. If no church have joy, you shall live joy. I kick any baggy sa in the mouth of an award is Adiba Ashe in the mouth of an award. If no church have victory, you shall live victory. I kick any baggy sa in the mouth of an award is Adiba Ashe in the mouth of an award. To Essie. Maybe so, surely shall it be. Ashe Orisha, lenu mi, Ashe Orisha, lenu mi. Bobon timo ba mama wiu, irumo le oba. Ifa oba o, Ashe Orisha, lenu mi. Timo turo, timo sure. Timo bere, timo sure. Timo kule, timo sure. Bimo joko timo shure ireti musu oritibo. Now, if we can put our hands on our head, your ori is your good luck charm. Ori eni larure eni o, ori eni larure eni. Mojulo mi fa wa mori, ori eni larure eni. Ashe. Bobore chasu. Ifa oba Ọlọ́run àti bàchájú. Ifa oba Ọlọ́run ó ṣe àrú ìlà Ifá ti bọ́. Olodumare and the divinities, we have come, we've given praise, we've given thanks, we've asked for forgiveness, we've asked for the desires of our heart, we've asked for support. At this time, Olodumare, we ask that you would push away death, push away sickness, push away cases, controversy, ward our fights, litigation, losses, all outright fights, all danger, hurt, harm, trauma, drama, hate, ward it off at this time and bring in its place long life, good spouse, good children, healing, wealth, joy, peace, all the wonderful and good things of life. Ifa, at this time, we ask that you would move my ego out of the way so that we can hear words of Ifa, so that we can hear powerful Ifa. Emma kamimini amo, ena kamimini ano, Emma kamimini adelokun, tamule, tori Ifa loni mi, ebora timpanini, eni banami, anwati fa leleju. Ifa, we thank you. Thank you all for tapping in with us today. I say it's going to be a good day. So I say it's going to be a good day because we're going to talk about something that is really near and dear to my heart, in the sense that we're discussing the concept of making yourself one with Ifa. So the concept today, as I said before, is practicing Ifa on a cellular level. What do I mean when I say a cellular level? How do we get to this place where Ifa is not just on us, but in us? So we have to begin with the premise that we can transform our whole being by the things that we think, the actions that we take, the things that we say, and the things we believe to be true. Our faith, our belief, our understanding of what God is, our understanding of Ifa, what Ifa is. Our faith is pregnant with the ability to transform us simply by immersing ourselves in the esoteric aspects of Ifa, verse, prayer. That in and of itself can begin to transform us on a cellular level. Being around the right people, being around tradition, being around Ifa merely can transform us on a genetic, on a cellular, on a DNA level. So I ask you this question. I ask everyone this question. So, what are you made of? What are you? Ifa says in Ogbe Iwori, Ogbe on the right, Iwori on the left. Ifa says, please do not hang yourself out of anger. Do not angrily hang yourself, so that the Ire is coming to you, will meet you while you are alive. What is Ifa speaking of here? In this Odu Ifa, Ifa is saying that if your composition is made of fear, doubt, insecurity, then your destination is, in essence, illness and even death. Impaired thoughts, impaired thoughts lead to impaired actions. What are we made of? If fear and doubt cloud our vision with anger, then your situation becomes your destination. One begins to say, I can't get out of debt. I will never find a compatible spouse. I will never be well. In this moment, that is your situation. And that becomes your final destination if you decide, you know what, I might as well give up now. I might as well kill myself now. I might as well check out of community, check out of people who care and potentially love me. I might as well check out. Then that situation becomes your destination. Committing suicide, because that is that situation. But Ifa says that don't kill yourself, because this is not the end of the story. This is not the sum total of who you are. We want you to meet your blessings while you're alive. And what does that mean? if you can make it through, if you can live through and push on until you make it to the next day, the key is for tomorrow to be better than yesterday. So I ask once again, what are we made of? What are we made of? Is our composition one of faith, or is our composition one of fear? Are we comprised of insecurity, or are we comprised of Ifa? What are we made of? Ifa says in Idiatago, Idi on the right, Otura on the left. Orumila says that only Ifa is worth relying upon. Ifa says that if he gives his disciple 2,000 calories today, he will double it tomorrow and give him 5 times the amount the next day and continue like that forever without any reproach to the Akapo. Ifa is speaking here that if you have faith, then that faith should genetically mutate. It should multiply. It should grow. If the Ifa that is inside you is rooted and nurtured, then it should be growing and growing and growing and growing. It should multiply. So, one key factor in this process of of having a cellular relationship connection with Ifa is having faith. We don't talk about faith very much in Ifa. You know, I don't see a lot of people talking about like, well, you got to have some level of faith. It's always an aspect of well, I did this work and this is supposed to work and this is supposed to happen. The reality is you also need to have an element of faith. If not for the ritual to transpire, for your own well-being. And when we think about that here in the West, because many of us who practice Ifa, who practice many of our African traditions, we're coming from Christianity, we're coming from Islam, we're coming from Judeo-Christian views that demonize our practices. And that in and of itself, that baggage can even impair our faith on a certain level. That can stop us from fully actualizing the power, the greatness, the delicious aspects of Ifa. So we need to have faith. Ifa says in Ogbe Yonu, Ifa says, Teteregun with crooked fruits. Ifa's message to he who builds a castle in his dreams, which shall later come to pass. He was advised to offer elbow, he complied. I who build a house in my dreams, it has become reality. I who build a house in my dreams, it has become a reality. I who build a house of compatible spouse, it has become a reality. I who build a house of great children, it has become a reality. I who build a home for my all ire in life, it has now become a reality. Ifa is saying here that before you can be it, you got to see it. Before you can be it, you have to see it here. You have to have a vision. You have to have a mindset of success. You have to have dreams of success. You have to have dreams of being closer. You have to have a vision, a mindset that you are entering into this hand in hand cellular relationship with the Irumole, with Ifa. We have to understand and have an understanding that we cannot what we cannot see, if we are diligent and faithful, the thing that we can't see can come to pass with faith and with diligence. Ifa is telling us on so many levels what we need to do. How do we get there? How do we get there? Ifa says in Osa Ofun, uh, big forests are not known to shift their base. Let me repeat that. Big forests are not known to shift their base, and high mountains are not known to move to other places. From time immemorial, small rivers, streams have not been known to change routes. These were Ifa's declarations for Ifa ni Mogboju le. Ifa, it is Ifa that I rely upon. These were the children in an Otu Rere. He who propitiates Ifa in a wonderful way. He was advised to offer Ebo. He complied. Now, Jigiringi o Alabola Ifa. It is you I rely upon. Babalaos who sent negative Ifa preparations, but it did not affect me. Jigiringi Alabola Ifa. It is you who I rely upon. I rest my back upon you. Opwe, it is you that I rely upon. Herbalists, they sent negative charms, but it had no effect on me. Jigiringi Olabola Ifa. It is you I rely upon. Opwe, it is you that I rest my back upon. Ifa is speaking on so many levels that there are going to be challenges. There will be individuals who don't want to see you succeed. There are people who don't want you to be great, and there are going to be just challenges in life. But Ifa says, who shall we rely upon? If we have that faith, our faith has grounding, it's substantiated, it has a case study that has a very high success rate. So when we put our faith in Ifa, that is what happens. We can have a firm base to relax upon. We talked about it before. So we transform ourselves by putting our full trust, our full faith in Olodumare. We transform by putting our complete faith in Ifa. This is so interesting when, in terms of that process of putting your full faith, submitting, that is an essential aspect to having this cellular relationship. Ifa says in the Odu Ifa, Ogunda Ako, um, the body of water is flowing into the sea. The body of water is flowing into the lagoon. The tiny black bat flew, but he did not touch the water, and he could not touch the ceiling. This was Ifa's message for Ibo, who was the Olu of Isalu Aye. This was Ifa's message to Ibo, who was the Olu of Isalu Orun. He was advised to offer Ibo. Ibo, Ifa, I have become your Ibo slave. The body of water is flowing into the Ibo. See, Ifa, I have become your Ibo slave. The body of water is flowing into the Ibo lagoon. Ifa, I have become your Ibo slave. The tiny bat flew, but did not touch the water, Ibo water. Ifa, I have become your Ibo slave. And did not touch the ceiling, Ibo. Ifa, I have become your slave. This is Ifa's message to Ibo. Ibo, Ifa, I have become your Ibo slave. Who was the Olu of Isalu Aye? Ibo, I have become your Ibo slave. This was Ifa's message to Ibo. Ibo, Ifa, I have become your Ibo slave. Who was the Olu of Isalu Orun? Ibo, Ifa, I have become your Ibo slave. When we hear that word slave. I know folks, all my Pan-African brothers and sisters, we like, oh, slave. But I want to break this word down, and I use that. Well, if I was using that word strategically, very strategically, and let's analyze it. The usage of that word in this IFA verse is challenging. But as we analyze it, let's see, what does slave really mean? What does a slave do? Idealistically, a slave is controlled by the master. A slave is also defined as a device or a part of one directly controlled by another. Within this Ifa verse, Ifa is saying, Ifa, I have become your slave. In other words, Ogunda Ako is telling us that we must put ourselves in willful servitude of Ifa. In other words, I have willingly submitted myself to Ifa. I have willingly put myself under the control, protection, guidance, direction of Ifa. I am fully submitting to you, Ifa. That is what Ifa is saying when it says, Ifa, I have become your Igbo slave. I have put myself under the full submission and protection of you. So it's less about the 20th century connotations of that meaning. The meaning here is, who's your master? You know, like in the kung fu flicks, who's your master? Who's your teacher? Who do you submit to? Who do you answer to? Ifa is saying, answer to me. If you want a cellular relationship with Ifa, you must put yourself under the full and total submission of Ifa. And in doing that, then you have this powerful, beautiful relationship. Ifa says on so many levels that process, that agreement, that exchange is necessary for our abundance. But we still have yet to talk about the cells. How do we internalize Ifa on a cellular level? I ask once again, what are we made of? What are you made of? What's inside you? Science says that within the human body there are 37.2 trillion cells. 37.2 trillion electrical impulses, forces, spirits, ebos, rituals, in essence, working to make sure that what we intend occurs. Imagine if we shifted the energy. If we are indeed the sum total of our thoughts, rituals, actions, beliefs, then these cells that are comprised of these protons, cell membrane, nucleus, cytoplasm, what if there is a force within us that can guide those things? I mean, we can't like just look at a cell. Like I can't look at a cell with the naked eye. Although I'm a combination of these cells, these atoms that have gotten put together that comprise me. But we can't like identify like, okay, where's the cell? This is the sum total of my cells. That's me. That's you. But when we begin to look at these cells, what influences those cells? What tells the cells what to do? These cells, in essence, are like spirit. Can you see spirit? Some of us can see spirit. Some people with cameras, they call them Carillion photography. You can see the aura of a person. You can see the essence. You can see the ashe, the vibration around a person with Carillion photography. So what I'm saying is, on a certain level, you can see spirit if you have the right instrument. So you can look at a microscope and you can see the cell. But once again, let us connect cell with a physical representation of even a spiritual principle or even a spirit. We can't see spirit with the naked eye. You can't see a cell with the naked eye. But there's a thing that animates me, that makes me alive, the ashe, the essence that's inside of me, that's inside of you. How do we transform that to influence ourselves? As we analyze ourselves, I want to ask, what would an IFA thought cell look like? When you think about your brain is comprised of dendrite pathways, memories, all of these things come together to comprise your brain, which is a physical representation of your mind. But what gives rise to that? It is a group of cells that does that. So what does an IFA cell look like? What does an IFA thought look like? What does it do? We know what a cancer cell does. We know what a liver cell does. But what does a cell that is influenced and immersed in IFA look like? What does it do? And what I mean by that, we should have the ability to transform our lives by using this powerful esoteric spiritual process to influence the inside of us. And what I mean by that, when you think about any other person in the world, what happens? If you cut me, I'm going to bleed blood. But what happens if you cut me and I bleed Ifa? Ifa is so immersed inside of me that if you cut me, that's what happens. The spit that comes out of my mouth, it is influenced with Ashe. You feel what I'm saying? When people are when in Nigeria, when people are praying over you and then they say Hashe and they spit. Why is that spit so powerful? Because it is influenced. Ifa says in Osadi, uh, San Sadi, the resident Awo Valara, Ogun Wereke, She Wereke Jana, Ifa, the Awo of Ijero Hill. They cast Ifa for Akinikum, the child of Agbeniregum. When he was advised to offer a bow of longevity, he complied. Ifa declares that it is untrue for the rat. I chorus that it is untrue for the rat. Ifa declares that it is a lie for the fish. I chorus that it is a lie for the fish. It is also a taboo for Mother Earth. Orumila will never leave Akinikun, his child, for death to snatch away. He and death eat together and drink together. He and death had entered into a covenant. So when we hear this verse, I know many of you are like, oh, what does that verse, how does that relate? So let's analyze the word. Who is Akinikun? Akinikun is the name that means he who has a king in his belly. He who has a king in his stomach. When we think of that, do we have a king in our stomach? Is Ifa so influential for us that we have internalized our king? When you look at that, Ifa is saying we have more than one brain. You got this brain up here, and you got this brain down here. When you think about this brain here, it's like, what does your gut tell you? Imagine if that gut intuition was influenced by some Ikin. Some Ifa is down in your craw, it's inside you. What happens if that is the case? Perhaps our decision making would be influenced by Ifa. Perhaps our movements, the things that we do, think, say, believe, would be influenced by Ifa. Imagine if that brain, as I said, was powered by the wisdom of Ifa. When we think of this, another Ifa verse of Osadi says, deliciously do we prepare the soup, and extensively do we display the beads for sale. Cast Ifa for Orunmila when he was going to marry Wura, pure gold, as his wife. He was advised to offer a bow. He complied. The Babalawo who studies Ifa extensively will have pure gold in his stomach. Ifa is saying when we make this cellular relationship with Ifa, when we grasp and hold what Ifa has to say, when we engage in this process of deep study, deep thought, dedication, faith, this process will yield results of wealth. And that wealth is a keen in your stomach. That wealth is pure gold inside of you. I've seen some owls, my teacher, for example, Chipopola, I've seen at times he'll travel, and he won't have any Ikin on him. Why? Because it's in him. You understand what I'm saying? It's not it's not a it the Ifa is not like right here. It's like it's inside you. What I mean by that is what happens when you have Ifa memorized and oh, there's no Eshu shrine here. Oh, okay. Let me get this and let me get that, and then oh, I know what Ifa. I know how to make one. All I need is the incantation. I have it memorized. It's inside me. Oh well, we don't have this shrine. Oh, let's draw a circle on the ground. Let's feed this deity there. I know the incantation. I know the Ifa verse that incarnates that. It's not a problem. I have it inside me. You think about the film Book of Eli, and that man had Denzel Washington had the whole Bible memorized to the point where during the time of the apocalypse, when the whole world had basically ended, he basically wrote a whole new Bible from memory. When we think of that on an when we think of that film, I want us to think about like what should a person who calls themselves a babalao or an ianifa, what should you do? What should you be? Shouldn't we indeed do our very best to internalize, memorize, embody Ifa verses? My teacher always tells us memorize it, have it memorized, do your best to memorize. It's not good for you to have a Baba Lao or Ifa cast Ifa for you, and then they go, hold up, let me go look. Hold up, let me look at my phone. Oh, let me check this book right here. It's not the best, and I'm not trying to ridicule people, but my point behind it is it ain't in you. You want it inside you. You want that inside of you. You cast Ifa. Ifa says in this Odu, and then you say, because you're pulling it up from memory. When you pray, I've got this Ifa verse memorized. It's not on a piece of paper. It ain't on my phone. It's in me. You understand? It when you say that, the other thing is like, you ever memorize the poem, memorize the rap song, memorize the R&B song, memorize music, whatever. What do you say? I know it by heart. I know it by heart. I know it by heart. I know it with my heart. So when we practice Ifa, why don't we know Ifa by heart? Why don't we know Ifa with our heart? Ashe, that's a powerful place to be, because when you have it inside here, nobody can take that away. Up, I left with the laptop. I left with your books. Oh, Ifa's lost. No, it's in you. And I'm saying this for a reason. I'm not ridiculing or putting anybody down. I'm saying, what are the aspects of Ifa that we can internalize? Ifa verses is that we can just begin to take in and use for ourselves. I encourage us to take Ifa verses that mean a lot to us and just memorize them. Take them in. And anytime you get into a problem, use it. Use that verse. I want to end with the discussion of how Ifa, how Orumila solves problems by working hard, being diligent, and being faithful. In the Odu Ifa, Oturopon, Oturo Ifa says, Ita jare, Irele jare. These were Ifa's decorations to Orumila when he was doing good deeds in the land of Ife. He was advised to offer a bow. He complied. Now, Ita jare, Irele jare, let there be peace in Otu Ife. Ita jare, Irele jare, let there be peace in Otu Ife. Ita jare, Irele jare, let pregnant women have safe delivery. Ita jare, Irele jare, let barren women receive the blessings of the fruit of the womb. Ita jare, Irele jare. This Ifa is so interesting because at this time, Orumila was in Otu Ife town and he was doing oral rituals. Many of you know when you perform rituals for Oro, they have to be done at night when no one else is around, when no one else can see. And he was doing these rituals, and we know that what Oro is used for, Oro is used to cleanse the community of negative energy, of crime, antisocial activities, child molestation, prostitution, drug abuse. That is what Oro is used for. So Orumila was using Oro in the dead of night to stomp out all of these problems. And as he was doing this, the people outside, some people kind of spied on him. They're like, what is he doing? He's the reason for the problem. His actions were misconstrued. The people believed that Orunmila himself was the one working hard and doing evil. So he went for Ifa consultation. And then the Babalao told Orunmila that the reason why people thought he was doing evil is because they couldn't hear what he was saying. He was told to continue to work hard, to keep the faith, to stay down, to stay dedicated. But when he prayed, he needed to raise his voice. So as he was continuing to do the work and maintain faith, not giving up faith, as he continued to do this, he would pray out loud, Itajare irelejare, let there be peace in this land. Itajare irelejare, let the barren women have children. Itajare irelejare, let the crime subside. And that is how people began to understand. When we think about that, Ifa is telling us that this process, this faith, this path is going to need hard work. You can't do it. It's not for the faint of heart. It's not for you if you give up easily. But Ifa guarantees elevation and greatness. It guarantees that. But you got to stay down. You got to stay devoted. You got to stay dedicated. And as we look at this, our faith, in essence, is a work in process. It's a work in progress. It's a constant process of evolving and transforming and deepening and widening. Our concept of what Olodumare can do in our life. Sometimes, 10 years ago, I maybe thought it was this much, and now I might think it's this much. It grows. And as I said before, Ifa will allow it to multiply. It takes time and constant effort to maintain the decision to transform your life. It takes time, it takes effort and dedication to maintain the decision to integrate Ifa into your spirit, your being on a cellular level. We must get to the place where when we are in crisis, before we think of an explicative, we should have Ifa so deep that our response is Ifa. Somebody cut you off on the road. Ifa says, cast Ifa for, someone makes you angry. Ogbe Yonu, anger amounts to nothing fruitful. Patience is the father of good character. You understand what I'm saying? When challenges come, Ogbe Rosun, we will soon see victory in the situation. The suffering of an Awo is not forever. Soon, or this is Ogbe Oshe, soon we will rejoice over the matter. We need to have that kind of relationship. So when challenges come, what is your response? If you cut me, I want to bleed, Ifa. When I say words and spit comes out of my mouth, that Ifa, that spit is influenced with Ifa cells. When I say things, I want Ifa to influence it because I want the things that I say to manifest. So do I curse you? I don't curse you because that too will manifest, especially if I've made this cellular relationship. I want us to deepen our relationship to a level where our very being is influenced by what Ifa says. Our very being is totally connected to the point where our cells react to the things we think, believe, and actions that we do, and make our actions influenced by IFA. Ashe, Abora boy. So, as I close, I want to just give us all like a little homework assignment. And that homework assignment is take some time out of your day and memorize one IFA verse. In the time that it takes for us to meet again, which will be, we do our temple service twice a month. Everyone, please figure out an IFA verse that gives you encouragement, that gives you that motivation, and memorize it. Commit it to memory. And anytime you are down and out, anytime there's a problem, or anytime you wake up in the morning, use that as your affirmation. Use that IFA verse to program your cells in the morning, program you in the morning. And I'm sure you'll feel better about it. Ashe. Thank you all so much for tapping in with us. Let me go to the computer here and upload and click all the responses. Thank you all for tuning in with us today. We thank you so much. We have some things coming up. So this coming Friday, we will have conversations with IFA. So those of you who are interested, the flyer will come out, and the flyer will have all the pertinent information. So if you're interested in it, please tap in, please join. Also, we had Itarogun on Monday. So I hadn't posted it. The reason I didn't post it is because I was out of town. We were in Miami with Chief Popola. It was such a beautiful experience. We were able to initiate 2 people to IFA. They had their Atefa on that day. It was wonderful. Shout outs to all the new initiates. Abora Boye, Ifa Shola, Abora Boye, to our brothers who were Eugene, brother Eugene, who was initiated. Abora Boye to you. Shout outs to y'all. Thank you all for joining us. So we will be doing, we've already done the abo, but if you are interested in also participating in the Itarogun abo, you can just send your donations to the temple website, and I will be uploading the messages of the Odu for our Itarogun. We got Iwori Ogunda, which was very good, very good. It came anyway. So those of you who want to be involved in that process, please, please, please send your contribution, and it'll be perfect. So with that, let us end. I want to pray. Allah Dumare Ifa, we ask that you would come and support us. Continue to come and support us. We thank you for this moment in time, this opportunity to get closer with you. We ask that throughout the week, throughout this coming new month, support us, give us a lifeline, rescue us, help us so that we will be empowered to integrate Ifa into the cells of our being, so that we too can have a king in our belly. We too will know the benefit of having pure gold in our stomach. help us to be greater tomorrow than we were today. Ashe, Aboraboy. Thank you all so much for tuning in with us. We'll see you next time. And those of you who are desiring, we are going to have Friday night class this coming Friday. So join us. Thank you so much.